Hey guys, Otakuology podcast here, your boy Jen, and we are back on to Welcome to Gravity Falls, Season 1, Episode 5. This one is called The Inconveniencing. So this one starts out, basically everybody's in the shack, and Grunkle Stan says, I have something to go do. I think he's going golfing. I can't remember. And is like, I am going to go away. You guys sit here and watch the store, basically. I guess he's going to be gone the whole weekend. And this is the first instance when we actually see when Dipper actually has a big crush on Wendy. And thinks she's super cool. And, just this whole thing gets developed there. So she actually, they go to her little secret place, which is like on top of the roof of the mystery shack. And they throw pine cones and stuff, and they see her friends come up and basically go down and tell Zeus, we're going to go hang out with them. We'll see you later. You stay there and watch the shack. And they end up going on this adventure to a convenience store that is supposedly haunted. Which is kind of funny, I feel like that's something that a lot of people do growing up as teenagers, is trying to go and find like a haunted place and be like, oh, hey, if you go in here, let's go on a ghost hunt, either for somebody to get closer together. Maybe, you want somebody to like rub up against you and be like, oh, hey, I'm scared. Or for somebody to basically sit there and just play a prank or a joke on somebody. So, kind of a double standard there for that. But they go to a convenience store for this stuff called Dusk to Dawn, which already there, I feel like it's a good spot of, you probably don't want to go into this building because, all the movies that I can think of, Dusk to Dawn, are zombies or vampires and stuff like that. And do you really want to be there whenever that stuff happens? Oh, so I forgot to mention Wendy's kind of like crew of friends. So you have Lee and Nate, which are honestly remind me off of, I can't remember the show. The bird and the raccoon guy. They remind me off of both of them, which is kind of funny. I think it's The Real Show. Maybe that's what it is. I can't remember. It's the one where they go, yay, or whatever. So, but anyway, so we get to meet her friends before they actually leave to go to the convenience store. And you have Lee and Nate, which are these two guys. You have Thompson, which is kind of this other bigger guy that, his parents probably have some kind of money or another. He's the one that always seems like he's getting hazed by everybody. Tamari, which is kind of like the punk emo goth girl, always in her phone. And then Robbie, which is the traditional emo kid with the black hoodie, and everything is basically depressing and whatnot. And so you kind of have that whole thing there, and they kind of treat Dipper as if he's a kid, and Dipper doesn't like that because he wants to be a man for Wendy. So that kind of also gets put into play. But then they leave and they go to the convenience store. Like I said before, it's called Dusk to Dawn, and who wants to be in a place like that? I mean, it obviously sounds bad to begin with. So they try and figure out how they're going to do it and how they're going to get in, because the doors and everything are locked, and Dipper's like, I'm going to be a man, I'll go do it. So he climbs up to the roof and gets in through like the ventilation system and gets in and opens the door, and they go in. It's still fully stocked. I don't know when exactly because they don't exactly give you a timeline of when all this stuff happened, but it does kind of bring up and show some kids. So it kind of looks like it was in the 80s. And basically, like, the stuff that's in there is kind of random. There's some kind of powdered candy stuff that Mabel's like, oh, I remember this as a kid, and I thought they discontinued it because you had it and gave you like almost like hallucinogenic visions because of your sugar high. It had that much sugar in it. Which, I mean, seems like most of us with candy and cereal back in the day, right? So they do that, get in and are trying to figure everything out, and then Thompson is getting hazed. They're trying to stick bags of ice down the back of his pants, and they tell Dipper, they go, hey, Dipper, go to the freezer and pull out another bag. We have more room that we can fill up in Thompson's pants. So Dipper's like, oh, I want to be like them, and runs up and goes and grabs another bag, and then turns around and hears kind of a noise behind him, looks back in the fridge, and there's like a floating brain that's in there with eyes and stuff. Freaks him out, disappears. Then he's sitting there and goes back and kind of like tells them, but tries not to exactly tell them because he doesn't want them to think he's a little kid because of possibly being scared or anything like that. And tells them what happened. Well, he distracts them from the conversation by pointing to this other machine that's basically like a Dance Dance Revolution machine, which this has a low blow for that. He brings up, oh, look, it's a game that tricks you into working out. And I was like, that is definitely what DDR is. Definitely. Because whoever thought about playing that and thinking, I'm really like working up a sweat and working my ass off for it, instead of getting away thinking that it was actually more of a workout than what you thought it was. So that was kind of a funny part as well. But then like slowly people start disappearing. You see them all in different areas. I think Lee's like the first one to go, and then somebody gets sucked into like a TV. Thompson gets sucked into the video game, and when the arrows come down, they like stick into him. Somebody else gets turned into a hot dog on the little hot dog turner. Some people just like disappear or get vaporized, and basically it comes down to just Mabel and Dipper. And you find out that it's this old couple that originally owned the convenience store that died. They died of heart attacks because they put a sign up that said no teens allowed in their store. And basically kids started doing like the beatbox and I can't remember the name of the street dancing, on the cardboard box and stuff, break dancing. And it scared them enough that it gave them heart attacks and they died, and they just closed the convenience store. So that was kind of a how in the heck did that happen kind of deal. So we are back. So we got into where all this stuff's happening, why the old people of the convenience store basically passed away suddenly due to breakdancing and stuff. And basically them not liking teens, they have to figure it out and what's going on. Something happens to Mabel, and so Dipper's the only one left and has to figure out a way for them to not see him as a teen now, which is kind of the degrading part of the episode, because the whole episode, Dipper's tried to play up that he was a teenager and stuff for Wendy to like him. And obviously we're at that point where it doesn't work out. So they go back, and something that Mabel brought up that Dipper shushed her on was how when Dipper was younger, he used to put on this little lamb outfit and sing this song for, I guess, their grandma, which became a thing where he had to put on a lamb costume and do this thing again for these old people to make him think that he wasn't a teenager. Basically, like, broke the curse. They let everybody go and let them leave and everything. And Dipper was like, we're never going back. But after that, it was kind of the funny thing, because then all the other teens and stuff actually acknowledged Dipper as a man. And so that was more of a gratification part for him, being able to do that. But, I mean, there's just a lot. You know, they end up going back. They also had one of the side parts in this was where Uncle Stan kind of tells you at the end where he went, which wasn't very much. And I think that this was a really good episode, honestly, just for the fact of we're getting to see more and more of actual outside things that relate to it, like the title Dust to Dawn. You know, that's a movie as well. At one point, you know, Dipper looks in the window and sees everybody there in their clothes, but as skeletons. That's also like a scene that's in some horror movies. The dip, like Fun Dip and stuff, that was a play on the Mabel's little stuff that she wanted. I want to say it was called like Cat Dip or something, because I think there was a cat on it for the mascot. As well as just some of the other things that we get to see in it that relate to other things that make it cool. Almost honestly, being a 90s kid, I think a lot of that stuff was an influence for Gravity Falls and stuff for this part. So it was really cool getting to see part of that, and I think this is probably one of my like low favorite episodes, because not like a lot of stuff happened, and we're still kind of doing like the supernatural creature of the week thing for now. Still kind of building the world and everything, and building with Wendy's friends, and adding new characters in there that will be reoccurring throughout it. So I think this was a really good one, especially because we got a lot of new characters as well that we'll see in the future. So, but anyway, thanks for tuning in, watching this show, or listening to the show of the Otakuology podcast. And as always, we'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.